Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to be with you both here today. Maybe you could just give us a brief introduction to this incredible series. Some people might already be familiar with the story, some maybe not, but maybe you could just kick off. What can audiences expect when they watch it?
Of course, it's a show based on a very famous book and a very famous movie. Neither of us have read the book. I have seen the movie, but that's because I'm old. And it is a very rich story, obviously set in the Paris in the 1700s, but is very relevant today. And it's a show about love, but about power, about sex, about all the big themes basically, put in a very modern, funny, very vibrant way.
She put it perfectly. Yeah, and I think the show does a brilliant job at just exploring like what makes a human, if that makes sense, and how a structure of a world really makes a structure of a person. And I think that's a very complex theme to explore, and it does it so well.
And it's funny because you watch the series and it does feel very contemporary, but it makes you realise the themes in the book are, kind of were ahead of their time, if you want to put it that way. And so, did you, obviously you didn't go back to the book, but did you go back to the 80s film? And of course we had the 90s complete classic in Cruel Intentions, which reimagined it once again. So, did you kind of go back to any of those to sort of infuse your understanding of it?
I wish I did, but I did order the book from Amazon and I downloaded the movie and all of the good stuff, but I actually decided not to read the book or watch the movie because I was like, I'm just going to imitate it and I'm just going to get really nervous, so I just thought, let me bring something fresh to it and just go with my instincts. But I did watch Cruel Intentions like a few years ago with my sister, and I didn't actually know it was like a remake of Dangerous Liaisons. I just clicked recently and I was like, oh shit, yeah. But and I know there's been a recent readaptation of it as well on Netflix, so it's funny like how what's the word I'm looking for, when something's relevant, it's been so relevant for so many years. It's incredible.
And can you tell us a little bit about each of your characters and how you kind of prepare to play them?
I am Jacqueline de Montrachet. I live in the up there in the higher class. I'm the wife of a noble. Yes. He's very influential. It's pretty much a lifeless, loveless marriage, and we find her pretty much depressed in the beginning of the show. She's devoted herself purely to God and the church, and walks around with a very big secret that is linked to our main character, Camille.
Yeah, and Victoire is Camille's right-hand woman, not man. I was going to say man because, instincts. But she's also like her companion, her best friend, her sister. But within herself, me and Leo, our first block director, love to call her the detective of the show because she just really has a nag for finding out stuff once she has an instinct about it. She's very brave, very humorous, very strong, and just very moral. I feel like she's a moral person through her journey of the series.
And the 18th century never looked so good. Like the whole aesthetic, but the costumes, they've really gone for it in that respect. So what was it like being on this set, and was it just an amazing experience? Was it ever challenging, kind of being under all these massive costumes and everything?
It's very impressive, the locations you go to, and like it still exists, and that they're also in such good shape, most of those places that we went to. But also, yes, to be in those costumes, of course, is not the most comfortable of all.
Not at all.
No, and you we're only actors. We're in it for a few hours, but back then people had to sleep sitting up, and you're like, for what? For what?
For what exactly?
So it really reminds you of literally the
confinement, constriction.
Yeah, that most of them lived in.
And I think just going back to what you said about the locations and the world. I think we have to give a massive applause to the team, because it was truly incredible. And just here, even this set, the fact that they put props in, just brought the world to life is just always wowed me. And Andrea, head of costume, we really built that costume together for Victoire, and to keep it truth and modest to her and to her identity. It was incredible. But it was not comfortable, but it was incredible. Yes. Could not sit properly. You have to you're like this, you cannot move your body, so everything is like a robot. But it was beautiful to be in.
There's so many outtakes of me swearing, trying to get into the carriage with the veil that was stuck to everything, and you're this wide, and the carriages, of course, we're tall, but they were tiny, and so try to sit in them and try to sort of act normally. And, that was a challenge.
100%.
And it's such an incredible kind of ensemble cast, and really diverse, and seeing, I don't know, people like Leslie Manville, like we've never really seen her before, Paloma Faith in there as well. So what was it like working with all these incredible people?
I think that's what is part of the attractiveness of this show, is that there are so many cool people on board, and there is so much free-spirited people that in the way they cast as well, it starts with the main cast, of course, and that just has a ripple effect on everyone else. And because they are such generous, free-spirited, wild kids, I call them kids, but that really set the tone for everyone. And I think, of course, the team around it, of course, was the fact that you have people that then look for that, of course, is very important as well. And it starts with the good writing. That sort of sparked most of it.
100%. I think it's definitely a team operation. It's everything's interlinked. So, and energies is really important, and that really comes out to everyone. And Leslie, Paloma, Carice, Alice, Nick, everyone on that show was absolutely incredible and very generous and fun to film with. And I think for me it was I just learned so much from different people as an actor and as just a human, and that was very enriching.
And what do you think people can take away from watching it? Because I think it feels like we're in a bit of a new era for period drama, where, on the one hand, it's amazing just to maybe get lost in a world, especially everything that's happening in the real world right now. But, there are always these kind of undercurrents and different themes that come out, and there's something, like we said, kind of contemporary about
very
this novel.
Contemporary, I think. Yeah, we sort of trick you, I think, because you want to escape from this shit world that we're in, and then it turns out it's the same there as well. But therefore, I think there's so much to relate to, and so many characters that are also funny. There's so much smart, funny writing in it.
Definitely. I think the world is shit. Sorry, but I think the world is shit.
It is.
But it's the people that make it good, and the people that make it worth, living in. Wow, this sounds really dark. But I think that's what it is with the show. It's that's why you want to get through it. There are very heavy topics, but you can't help but love these characters and connect with these characters and enjoy these characters and laugh with these characters, cry with these characters, because you feel them. And that's where the escape comes from, in a way, because you kind of relate to these people who are humans, who are just, exploring a shit world.
And what do you think maybe some of the themes are? And particularly maybe seeing female characters, in different lights, and particularly when you go back to 18th century, leaning into being, into seduction, into enjoying pleasure, all the deception. It feels kind of exciting and fresh in a way.
Yeah, I think, this is definitely a feminist piece of work. And you can sense it and that's just the way that it is viewed from a different perspective, and I think that comes across. Definitely 100%.
It's definitely told through a female narrative, and I think that's what makes it have that charisma, if that makes sense, and that emotions, because women live life differently, and it's nice to see that from the passion, from the acts performed. It's nice to see some things that are different we haven't seen in the period piece before, and just how it's nice to see women wielding power through the circumstances that they're in, harsh circumstances.
And directed by a woman, of course, the
first block, exactly.
Yeah, I think that also really adds to it.
It sets off the series in a certain tone, definitely.
I think I'm out of time, but thank you so much for sharing that with me. I can't wait for everyone else to watch Dangerous Liaisons.
Thank you. I hope you like it.
Thanks.